Welcome back to Pop Dissected. Today, we're going to be talking about the one and the only JoJo Siwa. We're going to be discussing her immense rise to fame and why I think JoJo Siwa is a modern-day Hannah Montana for our younger generations. Now, first things first, JoJo, for no specified or legitimate reason, gets a lot of hate. So I ask you all viewing to please watch the video and first hear my thoughts before commenting any assumptions. Bullying of any kind of this 16-year-old girl will not be tolerated on this channel. You can disagree, absolutely, but please keep it respectful. Additionally, we're going to be talking about Miley Cyrus's rise to fame at a young age and her role as Hannah Montana. We're going to dive into how that role impacted her later and as well dive into the quote-unquote controversies she was embroiled in as she left that persona. The core of this video is discussing childhood fame and how being blocked into a certain image or persona can negatively impact a child artist down the line. And then we'll wrap up the video by talking about if JoJo Siwa will follow a similar path. But before we dive into this video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell for more future content on all your favorite pop stars. Joelle Joni Siwa is the daughter of John and Jessalyn Siwa. Jessalyn was a dance instructor, so it was no surprise that JoJo took up dancing at a very young age. But what really sent JoJo into the spotlight was becoming contestant on Abby Lee Miller's Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition. Now, Jessalyn never actually asked JoJo to do the show. She sent in an audition tape to the show, prompting producers to reach out that same day, and before they knew it, JoJo was cast on season 2 of the series. JoJo was the youngest contestant on Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition, being just 9 years old. But despite placing 5th, she was quickly scooped up and cast on Abby Lee Miller's mainline show, Dance Moms. What stood out most about JoJo, besides her bobo, was her loud, enthusiastic, and very colorful personality. On Dance Moms, it was evident JoJo was a star in the making. Crazy costumes, interesting performances, and full of energy. But this was just the start of JoJo's recognition. Her debut single, Boomerang, released in 2016, being certified platinum in the United States and amassing over 860 million views on YouTube. Following her launch into the music scene, JoJo put out her own line of hair bows at Claire's, which she has sold nearly 35 million of. Around the same time, JoJo launched her incredibly successful YouTube channel, which has over 3 billion total views and over 11 million subscribers. But JoJo's rocket to fame was just beginning. As JoJo's worldwide recognition began rising, she signed an all-talent deal with Nickelodeon. JoJo appeared on numerous television specials, earned her own animated show, and went on to launch a line of, well, just about everything. Clothing, bows, dolls, toys, whatever it is, JoJo most definitely has her face on it. JoJo then embarked on her first world tour, which currently has been postponed due to the coronavirus. Now, JoJo is known for her personality that's carefree, colorful, and aimed predominantly to a preteen and younger demographic. JoJo has let us know her image or her brand is who she is, but as she approaches her 20s, how is that going to change? This is something I'll dive into very deep at the end of the video, because as we've seen with many childhood stars who have grown up in the spotlight, maintaining a certain image for so long, especially one that's as fun-spirited and as some would argue childish as JoJo's, the departure from that can sometimes end with unintended consequences. Going off of that departure of a branded image, it's now time to discuss our girl, Miley Cyrus, as Hannah Montana. Now, I wouldn't say I'm wrong to assume many of you know who Hannah Montana is, but for anyone who may not be familiar, let me give you a quick rundown on Miley Cyrus's emergence into the role, and her departure from it, and as well how she stated that role affected her life. Miley Cyrus began her career at just 11 years old, and she broke out playing the role of Miley Stewart on arguably Disney Channel's biggest show, Hannah Montana. The show followed Miley, trying to balance the life of a normal girl and a super famous pop star. The show was an immense success, Cyrus went on to release 4 studio records as Hannah, a movie soundtrack, went on concert tour as Hannah and Miley, released a film, and had merchandise upon merchandise. Many of Hannah's songs speak about trying to live life as a pop star and an ordinary girl, relationships, and young love. However, a majority of Hannah's tracks do focus around positivity, empowerment, and self-love. So it's not hard to see how Miley as Hannah became such an admirable figure to young audiences across the world. Hannah was strong, fun, colorful, energetic, and arguably every young child's role model. However, as Hannah Montana came to an end of its run on Disney and the character began to expire, Cyrus began getting wrapped up in controversy. Now, take these how you will, to each their own, but I think that most of the backlash was because Miley was now leaving behind the family-friendly image she had been branded with for her entire career at that point. The controversy began when Cyrus posed with a bedsheet wrapped around her for Vanity Fair in 2008, which was around the time the second season of Hannah Montana was airing. Many claimed she was nude and it was too provocative for a girl of her age. Cyrus's ultimate move to distance herself from Hannah Montana following the ending of the show was her third studio record, Can't Be Tamed, in 2010. Miley has recently stated that the titular track wasn't so much about not being Hannah Montana anymore, but about how she was preparing to move on from the character and her life at Disney. According to this tweet by someone who worked at Radio Disney at the time, following the release of the track, Disney pulled the plug on any connections to Cyrus. Now, looking back at the video of the track, it really isn't all that provocative to today's standard. But because Miley, being the wholesome blonde teen idol, now dancing around in a birdcage, well, parents were pissed. A video was then posted in December that year of Cyrus smoking salvia from a bong. Yikes. During this time, and in the beginning of the Can't Be Tamed era, Hannah Montana was concluding with its 4th season. Looking back, these incidents aren't really all that horrible, but only exacerbated because of Miley's image projected from her during her time on Disney. But things took a turn with Miley's 4th record, Bangers, released in 2013. Arguably, the peak of her controversy arose following the release of We Can't Stop, and then Miley's performance at the 2013 VMAs. Now, the performance was met with mixed reviews. Some praised it as taking full advantage of the VMA stage, while others saw it as disgusting, horrifying, and awful. Miley pointed out that plenty of other artists have done what she's done in some degree, but she said that she simply wanted to make history. Miley's quote-unquote controversy and provocative image ended upon the release of her experimental 5th record, Miley Cyrus and Her Dead Pets. While being met with widely negative reception upon release, it's come to have been praised for its experimentation and deviation from the traditional pop music formula. And her tour for this record? Well, here's some pictures. But recently, even though she maintains a very free spirit, her provocative image seen in her Bangers and Dead Pets era has very much subdued. Now, these are the quote-unquote controversies Miley has been embroiled in as she departed from the Hannah Montana character, but Miley has further elaborated on how the character and the show affected her. Miley has spoken out about how during her time on the show, she found it toddlers and tiaras-esque of having to put on makeup and get into a wig every day of her life. Though she enjoyed most of it, from being able to act and be funny and put on glittery costumes, this wasn't without its downsides. Now, Miley has recognized how the character of Hannah Montana and her music has connected to the audience who experienced the show and the character. But nonetheless, Miley has attributed the character to doing extreme damage to her psyche, having to balance school, the show, making music, and touring as Hannah and herself. And Miley additionally added about how after first having sex and then the leaked video of her smoking, she felt ridiculous having to put on a wig and playing this wholesome character. She recognized that she was growing up and that she was Miley, not Hannah, and how additionally she felt people forgot she was in fact Miley, not the blonde pop star. Furthermore, Miley stated how the character of Hannah contributed to her own body dysmorphia, having to get in full makeup and wig as a child, which probably contributed to her lacking a sense of real identity. To briefly recap, we can see how this character really contributed to Miley feeling pressure to keep on a facade of a character people fell in love with, and potentially feeling people didn't really know who she actually was. I don't think it's far off to speculate Hannah Montana caused Miley to lack her own identity, and what we've witnessed following Hannah Montana sent Miley on a spiral of breaking away from that image and spending time to find out who she was as an artist and a performer. So even if people labeled Miley as crazy or going off the rails, her behavior, I think, stems from a life growing up as literally someone she was not. But how does this tie back into JoJo? And how is JoJo similar to the character of Hannah? And could JoJo end up following a similar path to Miley? I equate JoJo as a modern-day Hannah Montana for several reasons. JoJo is a wholesome, fun role model for young audiences across the world. She has fun, uplifting lyrics and colorful costumes. Hannah similarly served the same function as a character: colorful costumes, uplifting lyrics, and a role model for young audiences. Both the character of Hannah and JoJo built an empire of merchandise, touring, music, and serving as an idol for primarily young children. But as with many childhood stars, as we've seen with Miley Cyrus, it comes to a head. So what does this mean for JoJo? JoJo has stated her persona isn't a character, it's who she is. Now, I personally believe this to a degree. She's always been on stage and has always had this colorful image. But the more time spent watching JoJo's content, specifically her YouTube channel, it begs the question, how much of this is real, and when will it eventually stop? We know JoJo's mom, Jessalyn, very much is the one responsible for putting JoJo in the spotlight at a young age. Jessalyn even stated she wanted JoJo to be a star from the beginning. While Jessalyn claims JoJo loves what she does, and JoJo seems to as well, I'm sure Jessalyn forcing her daughter into the spotlight at 9 must have been a lot for her. JoJo has currently been in the industry longer than Miley was as Hannah. JoJo is about to be 17. She's almost an adult, so what's coming for her? Now, JoJo has never been embroiled in any type of controversy equatable to Miley. JoJo's controversies are limited to her makeup palette having asbestos and her bows being too expensive. JoJo is still performing her fun songs and will likely resume her tour following it being postponed. So can we expect any type of change for JoJo? Well, personally, it's inevitable. There will be a time where the bow-wearing, candy-coated singer begins to change. And JoJo has stated that when that change comes, it'll happen, and she'll cross that bridge when it's time. I've seen comment upon comment of people saying JoJo will head for a total meltdown when exiting this image she's put upon herself. And is that far off? Well, I'm not entirely sure. I by no means would want her to go through any type of, quote, meltdown. Additionally, by no means am I trying to debase JoJo in any way. She's excellent. But as we've seen with numerous childhood stars, they can follow a path of destruction upon growing up. The lack of normalcy in their upbringing is one of these factors, as is being a role model or a childhood icon in their younger years. Being forced into that box, of course, makes someone curious about life outside of what they've known. Keeping an established, wholesome image only prompts someone to act out even more. And that doesn't make these individuals bad people. Far from it. It's just a result of living life in a way that isn't entirely authentic. It pushes your drive to do all the things you may have been forbidden to do or that would have contradicted your brand. Now, JoJo does seem to have a very positive upbringing. Despite being initially forced into the spotlight by her mom, I do think she is in a positive environment with good influences. And that's not me saying Miley was not. Her situation is very different. However, the experience of growing up as a character, I think very much is the same. I honestly believe when JoJo begins to present a more mature image or goes on to other ventures, she won't have the kind of outburst we've seen from other childhood stars. But of course, that depends on so many factors. How long will JoJo continue on Nickelodeon? But as we saw with Miley, staying signed to Disney didn't prevent her from quickly shifting her image upon the end of Hannah Montana. Both JoJo and Miley grew up in the industry, and both have, or had, fixed images of who they were. Miley, for lack of a better word, rebelled in what I see as an effort to find her true identity and self after years of being a character. And sure, plenty of people don't agree with the way she rebelled, but I think there's a lot of factors that go into those personal decisions, and honestly, Miley is the only one who knows those. So I'm not judging her, I'm not saying she's a bad person whatsoever, I'm merely just observing the situation from the knowledge we know. JoJo is still on her path of being her character, which I do believe is authentic for the most part, but we have to remember, she's in the industry. She is a product, so I'm sure to some degree, her persona is in fact staged and does lack authenticity. Now, what I hope for JoJo is she's able to gradually exit this persona as she moves into more mature endeavors and as she grows older, especially entering her 20s. But of course, it is JoJo's decision what she wants to do with her image and her career. She can stay this glittery persona or pull a full 180. It's absolutely her choice. But at the end of the day, what I want you all to get out of this video is how growing up in the industry as a child and being branded or having a certain image, whether you choose it or it's forced upon you, can really damage you. Miley has spoken time and time again about how being a character was damaging. I'm sure it contributed to a lot of identity issues as a person. And people fell in love with Hannah Montana, not necessarily Miley. And that's not to say people didn't love Miley. Of course they did. But I can only imagine what Miley might have personally went through as she discarded the Hannah Montana image, the image people recognized and loved her for. I'm sure Miley struggled so much as she transitioned out of that character and has become the person she is today. And of course, Miley is a wonderful person. She's very involved in activism and she seems very happy in what she does. And as I say in nearly all my videos, that is most important. So I have to ask you all, what do you think is next for JoJo Siwa? Where do you think she'll be headed down the road? And do you think she'll rebel in any way as she gets older? And do you think this persona that, whether she's chosen or it's been branded upon her, will negatively impact her in the future? I love to discuss this with all of you in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I know today was a very different type of topic, but I've been wanting to do it for a long time. Be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell for more future content on all your favorite pop stars.